Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy.
Hey, David, how are you doing today?
Excellent, Bruce. Beautiful day out today. I went for a fantastic bike ride in the River Valley. So if you're biking in the third week of November, things are good. Things are good. Even if your favorite team throws away a game that they should have won, it's still good. But it could have been better. Bruce, 6-4 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning, mainly on the back of a number of iffy decisions by Edmonton Oilers players, iffy plays, and a failure of the big guys to get it done on the attack. I'd say that summarizes it. We'll do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. But first of all, how are you doing? How are you hanging in there?
Pretty good. Had a nice walk today.
Yeah.
Got a beautiful day out there. And everything went good until, well, even for much of the hockey game, I was enjoying the game. But, this was a repeat of the Minnesota game. First
It was
game where McDavid was hurt. They kept getting the lead and they kept not being able to hang on to it.
Yeah.
And as soon as they fell behind, I'm thinking, that's it. That's going to be the game-losing goal against, and so it was.
The Oilers played a really strong game in a lot of ways, and a number of players that had pretty good games. And were
depth players played
Nurse,
mostly.
I thought was good, for instance, and Nuge. But yeah, there was a lot of the top players who didn't get it done. Bruce, what's your good thing in this game?
Oh, I have to go with James Hamblin, Edmonton boy that's taken the overland route to the NHL after never getting drafted, playing 3 years as captain of Medicine Hat Tigers and just getting better and better, getting signed to a minor league contract by the Oilers, a sharp signing by them a couple summers ago, and then playing well enough in the AHL to get upgraded to an NHL contract. And anyway, today in his 16th NHL game and spread over 2 seasons, he finally managed to find the score sheet and score his first National Hockey League goal, a beauty too, on a real nice shot to the top corner that he celebrated and immediately pointed skyward and essentially dedicated to his mom, Gina, who died of cancer when he was 17 years old. And having read and researched him a little bit when doing our prospect series and stuff, I know that was a major life event for him, as it would be obviously for many, many people, but he speaks of her often. And anyway, that was a big moment for him. And, not just that, David, he had a goal in this game. He was +2. And when he was on the ice, Edmonton outshot Tampa Bay 7-1. Outscored him 2-0. And for that, he was rewarded with 7 minutes and 1 second of ice time.
Do you know how you spell his mom's name?
Gina, Gina, I believe. Elliot Friedman. Elliot Friedman mentioned it on Twitter. So, and he had her name right in there. So,
Gina.
I believe so. Yes.
Died of cancer.
Yes.
All right. Just want to add that in the game grades because
Hamblin dedicates first NHL goal to Mother Gina. She passed away in 2017 of cancer. And this is Elliot Friedman a couple hours ago.
Okay, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Or Elliot Friedman.
Yeah. And he's got embedded in her, not the goal, but the celebration of the goal. So.
Wow. That's I didn't know. I didn't know that had happened. So that's a big moment.
Yes, indeed.
Very stirring. All right. My good thing, Bruce, was Warren Foegele's his overall play. I thought he was pretty inspired. He wasn't without mistakes. which I will mention one later. But his play, I think it was the 3-2 goal. Yeah, Tampa Bay had just tied it up, if I'm not mistaken, on this. And Fogle came, he put on his Connor McDavid skates, and he came charging into the offensive zone, making crazy moves, deking around defensemen, and taking that puck hard to the net, where his first shot almost went in, I think, on a deflection, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was his shot, but it went in. It went hard at the net and almost went in, and then Derek Ryan came in and cashed in that goal. It was just a huge moment in the game. It should have been the moment where the Oilers got the lead and held the lead for
They
good.
got it back. Yeah, they'd blown the 2-0
Yeah,
lead,
they
and
had
they got it
blown the
right
2
back.
nothing lead. And, in blowing the lead, it would have been a lot of bad luck, frankly. The puck went off Ekholm's skate on a cross seam pass, hard cross seam pass, goes off his skate right in the net, and it's a tough play for the goalie. The next one's a rush chance, and Ekholm gets his stick on Kucherov's pass across, but it still falls
Goes right
back
back
to
to Kucherov.
So it was 2 really hard luck plays. The Oilers have been dominating the game, and it's tied 2-2. But then Fogle, it was just such a take charge moment in the game, which is why I think it was the play of the game, from the Oilers' perspective at least. And Warren Fogel's been bringing it all year, Bruce. There's 2 wingers on the Oilers who stand out head and shoulders above the other wingers right now. It's Fogle and Hyman, and they're equally good. And Fogel's been getting all kinds of contributions to grade A shots, not playing on a top line. I mean, he has played on a top line through this year, but he hasn't always, much less than Hyman. So he's just been spectacular, and that was a spectacular play by him. Your bad thing, Bruce.
I'm going to have to call out Edmonton Oilers' power play, reputedly the best in the game, and they got taught a lesson this afternoon. In 5 power play opportunities, no goals, just 6 shots. And after Tampa Bay had a 22-second power play and scored a dazzling goal within the 22 seconds to tie the game at 4-4, and then take the lead, Edmonton got a full 2-minute chance with 5 minutes to go in the third period. And you're thinking, that's, they got to convert here. Not only did they not convert, they couldn't make a freaking play at all. They couldn't make a pass. They couldn't get the control of the puck in the opposition zone. Tampa just charged whoever had the puck and then won the puck battle over and over again. And it was just, they needed to, especially having just been shown on the previous, minutes earlier, how it's done. And Tampa had a 6-way passing play, bing, bang, bong, bang, bing, in the net, and Oilers couldn't make a pass. And just very, very disappointing, and they got 4 goals in this game. So you don't think offense let them down, but their big guns got nothing. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, all 0-0-0 -2. And with all the power play chances that they got zeros across the board there, and just not good enough. Draisaitl had 2 great chances, one of which he fired over the crossbar from the slot, and the other one from the side of the net. I think what happened was Sergachev somehow, it looked like he was pounding it in the open side, and Sergachev just blindly swung his stick around behind, and the puck caught the shaft of his stick and then off the side of the net. Some of it's just, Tampa got some very good puck luck in this game. Edmonton got some too. This was a kind of a ugly game, and some of the goals were ugly, but that was actually going to be a pretty one. But they just couldn't duplicate and create any chances, and they just, it's, for all that this power play, was the best in the league last year, this was a game they needed their power play. They had 5 chances. They absolutely needed to have 1 goal, or better yet 2, and they got nothing. And Leon Connor, Connor's clearly struggling to handle the puck. He's just sometimes he's stick handling, and he just sort of loses control for no apparent reason. And there's clearly something wrong there. And Leon, in 23 minutes and 15 seconds of this game, got one shot.
Did they credit? I agree with you, Bruce. Based on the trajectory of that shot, I think it looked like it was going in, and I couldn't figure out how it didn't go in.
Yeah.
So I don't think it hit the side of the net. I think it was the
Well,
announcer.
after it hit his stick, maybe.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway,
Yeah,
he
maybe. But I
definitely
think
got it with his stick. And
yeah, I think
it's not a
think
shot
so
on
too.
goal because it's a block. It's credited as a
Oh
block
yeah,
shot for
yeah.
Sergachev.
We
But
count those as shots on goals
oh yeah,
because
it was
those are
going
shots
in.
that would,
But
if a shot would otherwise go in the net and a defenseman stops it, we see that as a save as much as if it's got to be really obvious. We don't. It's not often we credit a shot on a grade A shot on a net, but it happens about once every 10 games where a defenseman will stop a goal by blocking a wide open net. Yeah, the Tampa goalie was shaky as hell, and the Oilers still could win this game. Ah,
yeah,
yeah.
Edmonton's
Bruce, I
goalie
agree.
was shaky too.
Well, I don't know.
Very first play of the game, there was an offside call at the blue line. The guy sifted in about a 58-footer from the blue line. It went right through him. And I'm not sure if he heard the whistle or not, but I'm going, this isn't a good sign. And anyway.
I just plugged in my mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, not good enough.
Okay.
Not good enough is what it amounts to. And funny, in a game with 10 goals, you'd expect the two guys that had 281 points last year to get at least a point. So
no,
I'm looking at you guys, that's why they're paying you the big bucks. You got to come through in games like this.
they know it. They
know it.
The only one. Yeah, Hyman, no points. Kane, Evander Kane, no points. Nuge, of course, the 2 points on two fantastic passes to send people
The
in to
shorty
score.
to Ryan was great. That pass was
Yeah,
great.
it really, really was. The other one by Bouchard, Bouchard has just got such a tremendous shot. He really does. He is an extraordinary shooter. Unfortunately, Bruce, he is not an extraordinary defenseman, maybe sometimes extraordinarily bad. That was the case tonight. His defensive play tonight was awful. And highlighted by two really bad pinches that led to goals against. The first one was on the 4-on-4, and it's probably it's not a 50-50 puck, maybe a 30-70 puck where Bouchard goes for it. Is that fair? So the odds are.
Particular goal, I don't think it is fair. Often he made a similar mistake the other night. We had no chance at this one. It looked like it was his puck. And Sergachev made a fantastic diving play to chip it past him. So credit to Sergachev on that one. Bouchard got, he's trying to score on a 4-on-4 as well. I mean, so he just got beat there by a great play by Sergachev, who had a fantastic game for Tampa.
Fair enough. I guess Sergachev.
But the other one,
Sergachev just has to. Bouchard wants to control the puck, of course, when he gets it, whereas Sergachev just has to knock it away. So he's able to dive, so you can say, oh, Bouchard gets out hustled on it. So I guess it's like a 50. We'll call that one maybe a 50-50 chance, and he lost the battle. Anyway, it leads to 2-on-1 and a goal against. And so that's the first one. The second one that's the second goal. Is it the fifth goal?
Fourth.
No, it's the
third goal.
It's the third goal.
3-3 goal. Yeah. Because we were all mad at him in my house, and then he scored.
And he scored. Well, that's actually it's after this next play that he scores. He's made two bad pitches, thrown 2 goals. And on this one, it's just such a weird play because he gets caught up ice, kind of on a bad pinch, and then he has a moment where he could recover, where he could, and he just kind of cruises. He doesn't skate back hard. It's a typical Evan Bouchard moment that makes his haters, and there are many, go crazy, go berserk. I could just imagine the outpouring of scorn and disgust on Twitter on this play because he's kind of just caught flat-footed watching the play unfold because he gets fooled. He doesn't think they're going to pass to the guy who's cutting in behind him for some reason. So he just kind of stands there and watches. And of course, They take time and they make the pass, they break in and they score.
Yeah.
And that was the cross ice pass slam to the net by
Yep.
Tanner Jeannot.
Yep.
Nice shot. God, it was just brutal. That play. It really was. And if people have probably gathered by now that I'm an Evan Bouchard fan, and I tend to be a little less judgmental about his mistakes because of what he brings on
They're
the
part of
attack,
the package. Yeah.
which is considerable. And he scored that great goal on the great shot tonight. Right after that, um, 4 or 5 minutes later, he crosses the blue line and from the high slot just rifles in his wrist shot, which few players are capable of doing, but he is. He can make that shot, and he did come back. But that was just a ghastly mistake. But then Bruce comes an atypical, like a guy who hardly ever makes mental errors on the ice, made one of the worst mental errors of this season, which is saying a lot from the Edmonton Oilers this season. The puck's in the neutral zone kind of being fought for. Kulak steps up as the puck gets passed to a Tampa player, and Kulak steps up to try to win the battle in the neutral zone. And at that point, I thought a good play. He does lose the battle, which makes him a culprit on the goal against. But he's covered by there's 3 players behind him when he steps up. There's Ryan McLeod, Derek Ryan, and Vincent Desharnais. All 3 players are behind him, and just 2 Tampa players. So you'd figure odds are even if you get beat, it's going to be okay. But it wasn't okay because at the moment that the puck gets turned over to Tampa, Derek Ryan decides he's going to leave his spot. He's the man most likely to cover for Kulak. He's in the best position to do so. Maybe Ryan or maybe McLeod is. They both are in good position. Ryan decides to skate off the ice, line change, when Tampa has full possession of the puck and is counterattacking. So his bad line change is the by far the most significant mistake on this goal against. It doesn't happen if he doesn't make that change, but he does. Then McLeod fails to cover the man breaking into the slot, who eventually scores, and Vincent Desharnais allows the pass across. How many times have we seen an Oiler defenseman stop a cross-seam pass? And
Seems like never.
seems like never.
It seems like never. Like those
It's like
passes
never.
always click, and the other guy always has a free shot. And Skinner is, yeah. Anyway,
And
unable.
even on the one where Ekholm did stop the pass across, he got his stick on it. It takes he does his thing. I think he makes a great play there, but just bad luck. And it goes back to Kucherov and he scores. So yeah, and saves on 2-on-1 plays have been few and far between as well. The Oilers have just not come up with the heroic save or the heroic stop across. Actually, I expect usually those passes across, they're very often stopped. Oh, here's my cat playing around a hockey ball in our room here. So, but Desharnais didn't get it.
Well, McDavid and Draisaitl had a 2-on-1, and McDavid tried to get the pass through, and the D-man went sliding, and he used his glove. He did everything in his power to stop the pass, and guess what? He did. And I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either, Bruce.
I don't know. The role of the D-man to take away the pass and leave the goalie the shooter, but
hey, they got as their defensive coach, Paul Coffey, who stopped one of the most famous 2-on-1 rushes in hockey history.
He did.
It was the key game against the Russians in the Canada Cup in '84. The Russians the game's tied. The Russians are rushing down the ice to score on a 2-on-1, and Paul Coffey picks off the pass, sends the puck in the other direction, and who was it? Tonelli and Bossy, right, are the 2 forwards. I think Tonelli wins the puck and Bossy scores it. Is that correct?
Tonelli wins the puck back to Coffey. He shoots and Bossy tips it in. And it was not just this was overtime in a sudden death semifinal game of the 1984 Stanley Cup. And absolutely one of the greatest hockey games that I've had the pleasure of watching. And it was, anyway, it was a very famous play. It was kind of the Soviets kind of messed up the 2-on-1, to be honest. The guy didn't make a good pass, but Coffey was perfectly positioned to pick it off. So maybe he can teach him. My memory of Paul Coffey is him watching more 2-on-1s from behind while Charlie Huddy tried to break him up than,
That is
than him
true.
being the defensive hero. But anyway, they had, I think, Tampa got 4 goals on 2-on-1s in this game, counting that first power play
We're
goal
going to
by
get to that
Kucherov, and then 3
we're
other
gonna
ones. Yeah,
we're going to get
2-on-1s.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah, 2-on-1s. I see
So
your shot. Yeah.
on that winning goal, after Ryan, who'd had a great game up to that moment and even beyond,
Yeah.
but that was just a really bad decision, and I don't know what he read. I think he seemed to think Edmonton had the puck when puck was up for grabs in the neutral zone. It's not a time to be changing out when you're in good defensive position.
He was blocked from view, I think, from seeing who had possession in the moment. Like for a microsecond when he made the decision, he didn't know who had it. That's how I read it. So
yeah, well, the guy who came on for him got a minus, but didn't have anything to do with it. But the other guy, Ryan McLeod, like, what was he doing on that play? Like, he was back, and it was just like there's a guy behind you, like maybe like skate hard, you know.
And then Bruce, with 2 minutes left, Kucherov had another breakaway where he didn't score, and it was the strangest play because it was 5-on-5 hockey, but when Kucherov scored, there was one Oiler. Fogel was he was late on the line change. He was going to change off, but the Oilers were essentially, he just had 4 players. There were 3 forwards and 1 defenseman out there. Evan Bouchard. Fogel's going to change off. He's, I guess, the 4th forward, but they had 4 forwards and 1 D at that moment without.
They were trailing by 1 with 2 minutes left, so maybe that was deliberate.
Maybe it was deliberate. Maybe they wanted to get a forward out there instead of a D-man, but it bit them hard. But Kucherov didn't score, fortunately. Anyway, just those bad line changes were mainly Fogel. I guess I initially take Kulak, but I think you're right. They probably he gave them plenty of time to change. It was Fogel's weird line change that caused that breakaway. Bruce, let's move on to our numbers. What is your number?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to go with the 6 times the Oilers have had 40+ shots in a game, and they've lost every single one of those games.
Yeah.
And usually when that kind of thing happens, it's something that we refer to as score effects, where the team that's trailing all game is peppering the other team's net with shots because they're trying to come back. But in this game, the Oilers were actually ahead for large chunks of the game, and they never trailed until they fell behind for good with 10 minutes to play in the 3rd period. So for 50 minutes, they were ahead for maybe 30 minutes and tied for 20-ish. And they were badly out shooting and largely outplaying Tampa. But they got their shots. And weirdly, it was like the depth guys, Derek Ryan with his first 2 of the season, James Hamblin with his first of the season, and the top 6 were shooting the puck, but they were firing blanks. I mean, Vander Kane had 6 shots to lead the team again, at least among forwards, and McDavid had 4, but they had a lot of these shots came from the blue line, which it's not necessarily always high percentage shots. But now it's 6 games, 40 shots. It doesn't seem to be the recipe for success, and it wasn't again today.
Yeah, McDavid, only one of his shots was a grade A shot, according to our calculations, and only one of Kane's shots was grade A. And McDavid averaged 3 grade A shots a game last year, and he's well below that. I think he's about 1.5 per game this year. So tonight he was just 1.
Yeah.
Bruce, my number is the Oilers were thwarted tonight, in part because of the thing that's been thwarting them all year. This is even strength rush chances against. Tonight, the Oilers scored on 2 of them at even strength. There was also, of course, Ryan's breakaway at shorthanded, but we're just looking at even strength here. So when it came to even strength goals on rush chances tonight, it was 3 for Tampa, 2 for Edmonton. This pushes the number for the season to 27 for the opposition and 12 for Edmonton. So it's just a weird situation to be so badly outscored. I just think, and I've said this before, I think it speaks to Edmonton's impatience and frustration in the offensive end. The other teams are parking the bus in front of the net. They're stacking all their players in front of the net, mainly as a tactic to thwart McDavid and Draisaitl. It might be there, but I think a lot of teams have just moved to this defensive system because it's the system used by 2 of the very best defensive teams in the NHL, Vegas and Boston. All these teams are parking the bus. It's a park your bus league. And Edmonton just keeps ramming into it, and they get frustrated and they try to do too much to score, and they start to make mental errors. They pinch in too aggressively, most commonly, and they give up an odd man rush. Some of it is bad line changes. We've seen 2 or 3 odd man rush goals off bad line changes this year, including tonight. But I just think it's the Edmontons. They're just frustrated and they're impatient. They're wanting to win. They're wanting to win now, and they're not willing to score goals, try to manufacture goals the other way, which is not by rushing into the slot, but by pounding the puck at the net and fighting for rebounds.
Yeah. And part of it's poor coverage by the forwards.
Yeah.
Like we noticed like 2 years ago after Jay Woodcroft came in, and we focused particularly on Tyson Barrie, but the bad pinches that the defensemen were getting charged with just faded away to almost nothing. And the reason was that the bad pinches were turning into 2-on-2s and not 2-on-1s. Well, we're way back to wherever we were 4 or 5 years ago. With these guys, if the defensemen get beat at the offensive blue line, it's a 2-on-1. Because where the hell are the forwards? They're out to lunch on all 3 of these goals tonight. Now, the 4-on-4, there is no sort of high forward to cover for that. And when Bouchard got beat, the 2-on-1 was full length. But the other ones, there were forwards in position to do something, and they just didn't do it. Like all 3 of those brush goals were 2-on-1s. It's not like they came up 3-on-3 and made a nice play and scored. 2-on-1.
The Oilers forwards engage in something that I call half checking instead of back checking. They rush back until they're almost caught up to the opposition players, and then they stop moving. So it's kind of a half-ass play. It's a half check rather than a back check. It is frustrating. The conundrum tonight, Bruce, is why do the Oilers keep losing games like this particular style of game? Because we have seen this game. We've seen this same game now a lot. And I guess I maybe covered it already a little bit with this being so impatient on the attack and giving up rush goals against. So that's maybe one of the prime stories. Any other thoughts on why they keep losing this kind of game?
This was a game, and it was 2-0 by 10 minutes in?
Yeah.
And they were all over Tampa. They were creating chances, and it looked like they had a couple chances to make it 3-0. And then just towards the end of the first, they got what I consider to be a real cheesy penalty. And then Kucherov, who took the dive on the cheesy penalty, also scored the cheesy goal on the lucky deflection. And I, who am not a fan of Nikita Kucherov, even as I greatly admire his talent, I do not like him because I think he's a dirty player, and I also think that and of course he's the one that's associated with the Tampa Bay circumvention of the salary cap that won the Stanley Cup. So anyway, I'm not a fan of this particular player, and he scored to make it 2-1 before the end of the first period. And I'm thinking, well, right, Edmonton should be up by 3. They're up by 1. And sure enough, it's similar to that Vancouver game where they threw everything but the kitchen sink at them in the first 10 minutes and only had a 1-0 lead. And then Vancouver came over the blue line twice, and it was 2-1 for Vancouver, and that game was over. And Just seen too many games with leaky defense. I mean, they did get some goals. They got enough goals to win this game, but the defense was too leaky and the goaltending was too leaky. And some people online are blaming only the goalie because they're looking at 5 goals on 23 shots, and they're, but some of those shots, I mean, 3 2-on-1s.
The only one I thought he might have had was the 5th goal. Like he should have had.
Kind of went
that
through him.
He might have had the other ones,
Yeah.
but he should have had probably that 5th goal, because if he had just come out more, he was just backing his net a little bit. But the other ones, I mean, Stamkos's goal on the power play, what a goal! Ekholm's goal off the skate. I mean, that's a really tough play for the goalie. He's just not expecting that. He's moving one way.
It kind of went through him, but you'd like to have a save there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Kucherov's break-in goal, the second goal, it's just batting around, bobbling around, and then it's boom, it's in the net.
And he opened up and he put it through his legs. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that was a really tough one.
But I mean, when Kucherov's shooting from 6 feet out, it's probably not only the goalie's fault, right?
Yeah, there was a one-timer goal from Janot for the third goal. That's a really tough shot. And again, goalies in the NHL, goalies should save 66% of the really tough ones. So Stuart Skinner wasn't great in this one, and maybe I'll bump his grade down. I thought I'd think of it because they're
Janot's goal was from 41 feet.
There is that.
And that was a 2-on-1, but Skinner was so far over that when Janot let the puck go, he basically had the 6x4 to shoot at.
Yeah.
And Skinner couldn't quite get over there to cover it. Like, he just left. I don't know. You think they have enough practice on 2-on-1s that maybe they should respect the potential for the other guy to get the pass and make a shot. But anyway.
Well, I'm invoking the 1 hour rule and bumping Skinner's grade. It's not the 1 hour rule. It's after I talked to you on the podcast, Bruce, I sometimes change the grades a little bit because you point out something that I didn't think about. So
786 was it today? 783.
Save percentage, yeah.
Yeah, like you need somewhere in there. And he did make a couple, like he stopped that Kucherov breakaway. He made a couple of really good blocker saves on deadly chances. What were the grade A chances in this game?
Okay, they were on the 5 alarm chances, the most deadly of all chances. It was 8-8 for the two teams. So it was a dead heat.
Yeah.
And it was 17-14, I think, on the grade A shots, if I'm not mistaken.
For the Oilers.
Yeah, 17-14 for the Oilers. So the Oilers did have more grade.
But that's not 43-24. Like, the Oilers had a lot more empty shots than Tampa did.
The Oilers get a lot of empty shots, and they don't
empty calorie shots.
Yeah, they've got to get a few. They've got to get a few more guys going hard, screening the goalie, going to the net. They scored 1 goal. Hamblin's goal was off Kulak's point shot. That's how you score against Park the Bus.
And Gagner and Ernie were mucking around in front, and the puck bounced out to Hamlin, and he drained it.
Yeah. So all these wingers and centers have got to just be a little bit more focused, and there's got to be one guy on every line who's going to do that. When you're designing the lines, one guy on every single line. So now they've got Connor Brown with McDavid. Maybe he can be that guy. I thought he was okay, pretty good tonight, actually. He just couldn't drain his chances. He couldn't. Yeah, he looked bad on that breakaway because he flubbed it. But Connor Brown could be that guy, or they could break up Hyman and Kane, which would actually be my preference. Neither of them are stellar defensive players, neither Hyman nor Kane. But both of those guys will go hard to the net, and I think the Oilers would better serve to have them on. Although they do forecheck well together, there is that.
Well, Brown was all over the puck. I was fairly encouraged with what I saw of him, and
so was I, Bruce.
Again, I mean, Oilers had the shots advantage for what this is worth, 11-3 while he was on the ice. Like, the puck was constantly in the Tampa zone. Just wasn't going in the net. 0-0. Like, he wasn't like he didn't make any defensive issues, but so
I think that's your 37th sigh of this podcast.
This is a very frustrating loss, and they're already at a point where they can't afford to be pissing away 2 points in games. Even to take an OTL in this game would have been okay.
That is what I was thinking. That's the best I was hoping for in this game because it just had that feeling they're not going to win this game because they
Hmm.
just keep chasing it away.
Hmm.
But that one point. We
Yeah,
we talked about going to this 4-game road trip, and I was saying I'd like to see them 2-2, and you'd say, well, you'd like to see them get
two,
two
one, and
wins and
one.
a loser point. So I was thinking at one point, okay, this will be that game. They're gonna get the loser point, and that'll be okay. But
Instead, they gave up the tying goal, and then 39 seconds later, they gave up a 2-on-1 because they weren't patient enough to say, okay, it's tied now. Let's see it out, you know?
had Ryan been out on the PK? Was he tired? Like
Well,
that's not a very
presumably
long
they were out
shift.
for the whole 39 seconds, but that's a early time. I think,
Why shift off so fast? Like I know that's 45-second shifts are, and he's a very conscientious player, Ryan. So he's thinking I'll get off the ice. I've had by 39 seconds, which is not a terrible thought. But man, it was so fast after that
he
goal.
wasn't even out on the ice for the face-off. So now I'm curious. Time on ice, Edmonton. And this was before the goal. 21 seconds. No, sorry, wrong guy. My bad. It's going to be something like that, though. 24 seconds.
That would have been a good number. Like, why was he shifting off that fast? Just anyway, it didn't make any sense to me.
I
I was
don't know. I don't
frustrated
quite.
myself by that.
Yeah.
So Bruce,
No,
they go
there's
to
something wrong
Florida
here.
next. Is it Florida? Okay. Maybe we'll
Something
let
wrong
you.
here.
Maybe I'll let you dig into this so we
No,
don't
no,
lose.
there's a mistake. Like they don't have him being on the ice in the seconds leading up to the goal, and you and I both saw him making that line change. So
Oh, I see.
they've
So,
got the wrong players on the ice.
oh, that
So
happens too. The
yeah.
NHL
Hmm.
official scoring. I think I remember talking to one of the private analytics companies, and they said
Hmm.
it's wrong on 7% of the things it jots down on that piece of paper, the official scoring tab. 7% of them are incorrect,
Wow.
according to their research over the years. So it's not it's a fairly significant
Hmm.
level of error in the
No,
official
the
game sheet.
guys in Edmonton take great pride in it, and a friend of mine, Al Robertson, that was a minor scorer in Edmonton for 42 years, and he explained to me he did the actual time on ice stuff for a long time, and he explained how sometimes it would take him a while to go through and get it right. So you find out the next day, or sometime after the game, they've especially on scoring plays, but.
Well, I'm sure I have my buddy Randy, who I play with in vintage hockey. I'm sure Randy makes no mistakes. He's a scorer for the Oilers as well. So we'll exonerate him as well while we're at it. Our two
But
friends are
some
perfect.
of these road teams, especially far in the
Yeah,
south,
yeah, it's
they
yeah.
didn't. Yeah. Anywhere ice doesn't form naturally, I'm suspicious about their understanding of hockey. I got to say.
Fair enough, Bruce. That's a fair comment. I don't think it's bigoted in any way. It's a fair assessment of different cultures and what they know about hockey and don't know about
Different life
hockey.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think it's fair.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe someone in Texas would take exception to it, but I don't even think so. Okay, when's their next game? Monday?
Monday in Florida, where they've had great success in recent years, and lengthy winning streak in Florida, I believe. Anyway, it's always a kind of a shocking win when they win there. But now they got to win. They can't afford any 2-game losing streaks.
They can't.
You know,
They really
it's
can't.
already at the point where they won 3 in a row and they gained 1 point
Yeah,
on the
that's the way
league.
it's going to be. Yeah,
So
it's if you can gain a point every two weeks, you're going to be there after a couple months. It's going to take a
yeah,
while. It's going to be a long, hard slog back unless you get on a blistering hot streak. And it looked, I was already, of course, counting the points before they hatched early in the game. And it looked like it was just like, oh, 4 in a row. This
We're
is
rolling.
fantastic.
Yeah, we're trying to come on. It was 2-0,
They look
and they got
good.
first goal of the year from two guys. And you're thinking, here we go. Now you finally got the whole team chipping in. And
It's just a team that's chronically unable to defend. It's as simple as that. And it's the goaltending, and it's the defense, and it's the forwards. It's the whole team. They just can't defend. They're one of the worst defensive hockey teams in the NHL. On that high note, Bruce,
that's what the numbers say.
that is what the numbers say. That is what the numbers
Not
say.
just our numbers, but
the
numbers
official numbers.
official numbers and underlying numbers and so on.
And do all the underlying numbers say that? Because there's a lot of people who've been saying, the Oilers have good. We have them getting.
That's a good question. When you do the expected goals and stuff, but in terms of the quality of the chances that they give up, like those that, the sites that count, one of the sites, NHL Sid over at Oilers Nation, he's counting rush goals and stuff, and he's seeing the exact same thing we are. They're bleeding goals and games by their inability to defend the rush. And it is a huge problem, and today just tells us once again, they are nowhere near solving it.
Indeed, Bruce. I'm going to just end with one final statistic because I've almost located it. Goals against per game played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that one.
that big one. And I just have to do one final thing. The Oilers started out the year as the second worst team.
They're 30th out of 32, 381.
Is this before?
No, that includes today. Sharks are the worst. Wild are the second worst. Then the Oilers.
Yeah, 30th. Yeah. Good work. You got to it faster than I did. Yeah, Sharks, Wild, Oilers, Devils, Lightning. Mm-hmm. What about Florida?
Probably Lightning are missing their number one star goalie.
Florida is one of the better defending teams.
Yeah.
And Carolina has turned it around considerably
early.
Yeah, they've really turned it around. They're now mid-pack. So, all right, Bruce, let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.